I think it's time we blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Alright everyone, I, Hero, present you with the top 10 strongest Venture Bros characters. Keep in mind the Venture Brothers is mostly a comedic show, so the power levels of the characters have a tendency to fluctuate, and thus ranking them is a fool's errand. That being said, I'm gonna kick this list off by naming some honorable mentions who didn't quite make the cut and they come in a little bit below 10, in no particular order. That being the extremely durable Dr. Richard Impossible and Presto Changeo, who are able to take insane amounts of damage that would kill normal people, but we don't really know what their combat skill is. Same with characters with super strength like Ramburglar, Trucules, Monstroso, etc. There's also Dr. Orpheus, who is stated multiple times to be the #1 greatest pupil of magic, but who also totally gets dicked on or is borderline useless in more than one situation. Torrid and the Outrider, who both have some pretty crazy magic feats, but both of them kind of end up dicking themselves too when they're doing their shit. Let's not forget the countless other side characters who I don't really have enough info on to rank them without using heavy speculation, and perhaps I'll do a continuation video on them in the future, ranking more guys past 10. With my safety net against criticism out of the way, let's start with the characters I actually feel I ranked pretty well.
Round 1, fight!
At number 10, we have Shoreleave. Now, Shoreleave is the completely out of the closet, flamboyant secret agent who may or may not have been in the Village People. On a lot of levels, Shoreleave is comparable to Brock. What he lacks in fortitude and power, he greatly makes up for with his mastery of firearms, though his fighting skill is not at all unremarkable. His combat method of twin pistols, acrobatics, and parkour is not only sick as fuck looking, but also highly effective, as he's able to hold his own against the likes of Molotov cocktease, almost coming out victorious in their scuffle that they had, which by itself is a pretty huge feat. I can confidently say that there's not a lot of people in this cast that can handle Shoreleave in a fight. He's well-rounded and part of the highest-ranking members of the OSI agents. Base OSI agents are implied to be highly capable in their own right.
One agent is plenty.
So I don't really have much more to say about Shoreleave, honestly.
Stayed in the closet.
You should have stayed dead. But if it's a cat fight you want, sister, you messed with the wrong pussycat.
Yeah, on paper he doesn't appear to be all that crazy, but honestly, being able to do the stuff that he's shown to be able to do, like fight against Molotov, is pretty insane at this level.
Of course, Shoreleave.
With a body like Arnold and a Denzel face.
At number 9, we have the Guild Legend, the level 10 Red Death. He's said to be a legend not only by the guild, but hunter-gatherers as well, who leads the entire OSI, so I think that guy would know a legend when he sees one. This notoriety Red possesses is well-deserved. We see that he's been in the game and thriving for a long-ass time. He's killed his arch-nemesis, Professor Cadmium. He was also there at the Gargantua 1 movie night, which sparked the whole Sphinx Wars, and he's been doing this kind of stuff for a while. He's been going out and killing whoever is unlucky enough to be his arch yearly. He's knowledgeable enough to know that the Monarch is the blue Morpho, right off the bat, but also seasoned enough to sit down with him and, share his knowledge. That last part not really being a feat, but it's pretty based. Red Death comes equipped with a semi-robotic flying horse mount and a giant scythe that shoots vaporizing fucking blasts. He strolls into an OSI dummy core and wrecks the whole place without breaking a sweat, and knocks out Blind Rage with a single punch. Man, I don't want to speculate too much, but seeing as Blind Rage is a Daredevil parody, we can probably theorize that he's a specialist in hand-to-hand combat, and he's totally ready for the fight in the scene. So the fact that Red Death can totally just knock him out right there should mean that Red Death is just really that crazy strong. I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that he's on this list. If anything, most people are probably saying, what hero, number 9? Really, cringe, he should be higher up. And to those people, I can only say, you're probably right.
Not bad for an old man, huh? I'm gonna get going.
At number 8 sits maybe a controversial pick, but I think that Think Tank is pretty goddamn underrated. I mean, he's only really in one single on-screen fight, but that fight against Brock that he almost wins should say a whole lot about him. He straight up is whooping Brock Sampson's ass. He's blocked all of his attacks with force fields, and even shot Brock out of the Ventec Tower with a high-powered laser cannon, only losing in the end when Wariana shows up to double-team him. I mean, come on. that's kind of like an unwinnable fight. I'd like to see Brock versus Think Tank without interference, or even better, I'd like to see how well Think Tank did against Brock and Wariana before losing, something that was handled off screen. But like I said, this show isn't supposed to be like a total action kind of, big brawl, so it's not like I'm upset that a lot of shit happens off screen. Either way, who the fuck else can do Brock Sampson that dirty? Brock completely bodies Red Death. So I feel like I'm kind of trying to just give Think Tank some credit where credit is due.
All great things must first wear terrifying and monstrous masks in order to inscribe themselves on the hearts of humanity. Who said that? Anyone? Think, my children. No need to.
We arrive at number 7, the previously brought up Molotov cocktease, arguably the arch enemy of Brock Sampson. This smoking hot, chain-smoking Russian mercenary is high cost and highly lethal. She possesses a mastery over a variety of melee weapons and firearms, including poison-tipped dagger boots. Very sexy. She leads the all-female Blackheart's Elimination Company, and setting aside her ridiculous combat skill, she also uses her feminine wiles and keen intellect to distract, deceive, and betray those in her way. She's able to single-handedly defeat almost the entire OSI, like, seriously, do I even have to say anything else? As far as on-screen non-speculation feats go, that's an S tier if I've ever seen one. She's able to defeat Brock Sampson on a multitude of occasions, though never able to secure the final blow. Whether this is due to a lack of skill or deep affection for Brock is unclear. But to be able to put Brock in situations where she could potentially kill him is not really something you can overlook. You'd have to be pretty delusional to think she isn't deserving of at least this spot. If I had to put Molotov in a battle between anyone else lower than her on this list, I'd say that it's not even a question. She's going to come out on top regardless of whoever she's against.
How about I make you call on that code while I drop your new boyfriend off a cliff?
I'd rather die.
Ah yes, my favorite number, 6. Fitting for this fan favorite. Yes, it's time to talk about the walking Swedish murder machine, the slayer of henchmen, Agent Topanga Lawrence, Brock Sampson. If I was feeling a bit lazier, I would just say his name and move on. Do I really have to tell you how insane Brock is? Yes, I do. I feel compelled. That's why I made this video. Starting his killing career in the United States Marines before graduating to the OSI and becoming a secret agent, Brock Sampson is obviously no stranger to combat. Although he's been knocked around by some, i.e. Think Tank, Ram Burglar, Stars and Garters, Rocco, etc., it can be argued that his main skill comes from the fact that he's probably the hardest to kill normal man that exists in universe, and yet still has an extensive list of super science and superpowered foes under his belt that he's defeated. The man is known far and wide for this very reason, taking on guild blackout teams alone, surviving the vacuum of space unaided, enduring insane amounts of physical punishment, being able to defeat Red Death and even a super suit enhanced Molotov cocktease. His ability to endure pain is only matched by his ability to inflict it. All of this without the use of firearms, just a Bowie knife and a level of luck some would call unnatural. In the episode Hate Floats, it's discovered his body once contained a blow dart, 2 shark's teeth, the tip of a bayonet, a twisted paperclip, and a meager handful of buckshot that Brock simply just unnoticed. What a legend. If he brings his muscle car to the fight, that's a huge amp as well. It's not surprising he's widely accepted as the strongest OSI agent alive.
Bodyguard for him and the boys. This is Brock Sampson. He's a full-on god. Men write him love letters and women name their vibrators after him. So Brock protects the ventures from the bad.
End of the line. Nowhere to go.
I'll shoot!
Please, go ahead.
What are you?
I'm the guy that's gonna shove this blade so far up your ass. Come on! When did they issue poison teeth to you guys? That's cheating!
Alright, so number 5 is Captain Sunshine, assuming you don't fight him at night when he has no powers. During the day, the sunlight gives him the ability to project these powerful beams of sunlight and fly and super strength. I mean, the way he bends Scorpio's car with ease just puts him in a different class when it comes to one-on-one versus battle scenarios. He's definitely a guy where you have to exploit one of his weaknesses to defeat, such as his emotional instability, his disturbing attachment to his teenage sidekicks, his poor intellect, or his ability to draw power from the sun. The man is pretty much Superman. I mean, you're not going to kill him with a regular knife or gunshot. Now, this is also where I feel like dropping a few honorable mentions that, like Captain Sunshine, don't really have a lot of screen time, but can be inferred to be pretty strong. The first of which being Victor von Hellfire, described as guild royalty. I like to believe this dude, who was mentioned once, is probably pretty strong on the basis that he looks like a parody of Doctor Doom, and I think Doctor Doom is pretty badass. We also have the Grand Inquisitor, who's said to be able to destroy the entire Earth. Whether he had the machine or a power that allowed him to do this, or whether or not he could even do it at all is unclear, but the dude sure seems pretty otherworldly. Though he does die to a single gunshot, granted it could be like a super-powered alien gun or something. Then we have the alien who looks like Jonas Venture, who killed the Grand Inquisitor. He's got that same otherworldly quality, his true form being so horrific it leaves a large amount of people disheveled just from viewing it. Who knows what kind of gun he used on the Grand Inquisitor, or whatever else kind of tricks he has up his sleeves, but he's probably up there. Then we got Toaster Face, the guy shown in the Outrider and Tatiana's act. He's apparently some sort of demonic-like entity and is a parody of the Cenobites from Hellraiser. Who knows what he actually can do and what his limits are. Just felt like throwing him in here because he's clearly some sort of otherworldly supernatural being. Next up, we have the Sovereign and the previous Sovereign, Force Majeure. Also, the old Team Venture in their prime. Now, these guys don't really fight anyone, so we don't really see the exact extent of what they can do. It could be argued that guys like Kano and the Action Man in their prime could defeat Shoreleave easily, but I think that there just isn't enough info to say, really. And both Sovereigns never really fight anyone on screen, but I imagine they possess some high degree of combat skill. And then we move on to Jonas Venture Jr., and he's got this giant-ass death ray he built, a giant robot, and tons of other crazy tech, but he's never fought anyone besides the Monarch and his crew, which, he completely destroyed those guys. As far as one-on-one scenarios goes, I'm not really going to include any machine that requires more than one person to pilot. I could do a top 10 strongest vehicles another day. But at best, you could say he's pretty strong in that mech he built on the fly in Doc's lab the first time he shows up on screen. He could probably build a stronger one-man mech for fighting if he wanted to. So, it's all just speculation. Those are just a few, but let's get back to the rankings. Starting off the top 4, we have Wariana, a Greek-inspired Wonder Woman parody who possesses super strength and most likely some degree of invulnerability. She's easily capable of defeating Brock in a fight without, breaking a sweat at all. She's also a lot more competent than Captain Sunshine and possesses her powers 24/7. She's got an invisible chariot pulled by geese and a truth lasso, but honestly, I don't see how, anything short of a super-powered person or super science-type weapon could even deal damage to her. If she's anything like the real Wonder Woman, or if her demeanor is anything to go by, she's most likely incredibly skilled in combat.
There is nothing in this world but your power in me, the only man who can see it. Let me worship at your altar. Let me know the pleasure of a real woman.
I'm gonna tire you out, brave Heracles. Break you upon my wheel.
What was all that about?
Side note, in terms of super science weapons, even Rusty could beat someone if you shot him with a shrink ray or something, but we can assume that if it was that easy to shoot someone dead and call it a day, a lot of these guys would not be alive or touted as being like these super strong combatants. Call it Venture Bros universe physics and plot armor, but I just think it makes for a better discussion regardless. Okay, top 3. Starting with the former head of the OSI turned Hulk, we have General Timothy Treister. God, I love that name. General Treister is aggressive and dramatic, preferring to solve his problems with wrestling rather than diplomacy. He's considered a top military mind and considers every agent underneath him to be practically family, often getting upset by the bureaucratic red tape that prevents him from combating villainy the way he'd like. Treister's combat ability and power level can easily be summed up by just this clip. Enough said. The second spot is shared between an individual and a group, and fans of the show should have seen this coming from miles away. Although these two share a spot due to the vast gap between them and the rest of the list, it's easy to see that Dr. Henry Killinger vastly surpasses the rest of his brothers, the Investors. While the Investors possess a power set including phasing, shapeshifting, mimicry, levitation, selective invisibility, and psionic powers, Killinger most likely possesses these powers on a greater scale and more. Their ability to use psionic powers could actually mean that the rest of their powers are simply conveyed by creating illusions in the minds of others, but either way, the Investors dick on literally everybody in the entire show with no conceivable way to defeat them. The Sovereigns seem to think that blowing up the Gargantua 2 space station might do the trick, But this is clearly not true, as the investors themselves aid in the destruction of the station while they are on it, and then simply just show up later on Meteor Major. Killinger expressly states that he and the investors are on a higher tier of existence than humans, this being backed by the fact that they are all named after Roman gods and heavily implied to be godlike. Killinger bodies all of his brothers at once, extremely based, and besides from that is shown throughout the series to contain a vast degree of knowledge over a wide amount of fields, even possessing the ability to converse with ghosts, implying that he's got like this supernatural connection on top of his cosmic vampire alien type shit. It could be argued at the very least that Killinger might be able to defeat the #1 spot character on this ranking, but that being said, Killinger and #1 are so far away from everyone else that's like not a cosmic type level that the gap between spots 2 and 3 is too extreme for the rest of the cast to even stand a chance. However, it's worth noting that the investors do try to hide their existence when possible, implying that they might possess some weakness humans could take advantage of. Maybe similar to vampires, which they are often compared to, they might have some odd and exploitable failings. Finally, we arrive at the end. The time you have no doubt all been waiting for has finally come.
Do you see it now? We use this one enchanted night to perform the greatest feat of magic there is. We become ourselves.
At the #1 spot, and honestly, who knows if this guy can beat Killinger, this is all speculation, we have the one, the only, Bob's Burgers, the Master. Now, the Master is considered to be an all-knowing, omniscient being, and the highest power of the arcane arts. He resides in a sort of pocket dimension known as the Necropolis, and his origin, like most of these cosmic-type dudes, is completely unknown. He's the master of Dr. Orpheus and the rest of the Brimstone Assembly, a group of magic users, possibly the foremost or only group of its kind. The Master has been shown to be able to do pretty much anything, his greatest on-screen feat being the time he destroyed a legion of zombies the Brimstone Assembly created. However, this most likely just barely scratches the true extent of his power. Should he have a reason to use it, it'd be crazy to see what he's actually capable of, being this otherworldly type of entity that some speculate might be a demigod or a demon or just a full-on cosmic being that just rules over the domain of magic. And with that, we kind of got all my thoughts out there, so that's it. Except for the secret 0 spot on the listing. The one who is potentially, no, undoubtedly stronger than the others on the list. The man behind the scenes controlling the world. Ook ook. And that's that. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you haven't seen Venture Bros, I once again highly suggest you check it out. Go buy a bunch of Venture Bros shit, make sure the show stays alive forever. Or at least make sure they make enough money to convince the bigwigs that good shows take real time and effort to make, instead of just, pumping out the fucking same show for like 20 seasons. Yo, just gonna throw this in, I was editing the video when I heard the news about the cancellation of the Venture Bros, so yeah, I'll probably do a separate video on that soon. Kind of unfortunate timing, really got me fucked up, but it is what it is. I'll be making a video about it soon. I'll probably upload non-Venture Bros related shit eventually, so hopefully you, my viewers, have a taste similar to my own. If you have a problem with the way that I've ranked these characters, join the club, as I myself could probably argue against the same things that I've said pretty easily. I'm pretty small time right now, so if you guys want to leave some comments and feedback, I'll get to like everything you guys post, so go ahead and drop your shit. Like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed this shit, or don't. It's your life. I'm Hero from the New Fox Clan, and I'm always posted up, shitposting in my Discord, playing games and chilling with the homies, watching movies, playing D&D, having senseless arguments, and all that good shit. If you want to stop by, the link is in the description. Have a good one, and thanks for watching.